Is Captain Brad Koch, captain over the Central Division, here today to provide an update on the homicide that happened in the Central Division on February 11th, that Friday evening, shortly after 9:30. To provide an update is captain over the Violent Crime Division, Joel McNelly. Joel.
Thank you, Captain Koch. As you know, on February 11th, CATS bus operator Ethan Rivera was shot and killed in a senseless act of violence in Uptown Charlotte. On February 15th, I stood right here with Ethan's mother, Sylvia, and we made a passionate appeal to the community of Charlotte to help us find the person that killed Ethan. Well, from that, we received quite a few investigative leads. And our homicide unit eventually identified Darian Drew Tavicit as the suspect in this case. I can spell that. First name Darian, D-A-R-I-A-N, middle name D-R-U, last name T-H-A-V-Y-C-H-I-T-H, pronounced Tavicit. As soon as Tavicit was identified as the suspect in this case, CMPD's Violent Criminal Apprehension Team, VCAT, immediately began apprehension efforts to locate Tavicit. In the last 2 weeks since we spoke, that has turned into a manhunt that has gone through North Carolina, Tennessee, Kansas, and Colorado. And I'm pleased to officially announce this morning that Tavicit was taken into custody early this morning by the Shawnee, Kansas Police Department. CMPD and our VCAT unit would like to thank all of the agencies that assisted in apprehending Tavicit. And they include FBI Charlotte, Secret Service in Charlotte, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of North Carolina SBI, FBI Kansas City, FBI Nashville, the Nashville Airport Police Department, the Castle Rock, Colorado Police Department, and finally the Shawnee, Kansas Police Department. We appreciate all of the assistance from so many dedicated law enforcement officials to locate this dangerous person. And we also want to thank the community for the information that you gave us that led us to Tavicit. And we pray that this apprehension brings some solace and some peace to the Rivera family this morning. As always, if anyone has any other information, if you were uptown that night and you saw something, if you know anything about where Tavicit went in the interim, if you know anything, we'd ask you to call Crime Stoppers, 704-334-1600. Information to Crime Stoppers could be given anonymously. If you'd like to speak directly to a homicide detective, we have a TIPS line, which is 704-432-TIPS. And so we thank the community for the help in this. Now I would like to introduce CATS CEO John Lewis, who would like to provide a few remarks.
Thank you, Joel. Today has been, we've received a bright ray of sunshine in an otherwise cloudy and dark couple of weeks for the CATS family. We are one step closer to justice for Ethan Rivera. And I want to thank our partners at CMPD and the myriad of law enforcement agencies across the country who have participated in this manhunt. We're finally bringing this individual to justice. And I want to say, on behalf of our CATS operators who are out there serving our customers, our public, our community each and every day, to those that want to step outside the lines, on board, in, around our CATS vehicles and facilities, we see you. We will identify you, and what you've seen today is you will be apprehended and brought to justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. This time we open open it up to some questions from the media. If you have any, please identify who you would like to ask a question to.
First question is Tina Cuizon.
Tina Cuizon.
Aloha and good morning. My question is for Mr. Lewis. Speaking to several past and current CAT drivers, it's about safety. If you folks are able to disclose what direction was the fatal shot fired? Was it through the door? Because we're hearing a lot of discussion about safety glass in a panel, but if it wasn't anywhere, if it's still a direct shot through the door, what is CAT's plan to keep the driver safe?
Hi, Tina. This is Captain McNally. I'll investigate the first question as it relates to the investigation, and I can let Mr. Lewis address any questions about safety measures being taken on buses. And unfortunately, with a suspect just in custody and an investigation continuing even right now and today, we're not at liberty to discuss the specifics of where a shot was fired, what it went through, or any of that, because that's information that needs to stay protected for the integrity of the investigation right now. But I will let Mr. Lewis address any additional safety measures that CATS is taking for their employees.
Thank you for that question. In regard to the safety and security of our employees and our customers, CATS is working very closely with our partners at CMPD and with our company our company security force, Allied Universal. We are also working very closely with the sheet metal, Aeronautics and Rail Transportation Employees Union, which represents our bus operators, in identifying the best ways that we can have a targeted and effective response to these kinds of issues. We were working on increased presence from a security standpoint on areas of concern that were identified by our union, and also with CMPD and increased police presence at the transit center and at key locations throughout our system.
All right, next question.
Erica from WSOC.
Erica with WSOC.
Hey guys, good morning. I know that you mentioned that the suspect was captured in Kansas. Can you provide a little more insight as to how your partners in this investigation in Kansas were able to track him down? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Erica. The question is, how were we able to track him down? We have a lot of methods that we use. We have a lot of electronic and talking to people, a lot of good old-fashioned detective work that combines with the information age and all the things that are available, video cameras and all of that. To be quite frank with you, I don't want to put all the details of how we do our apprehensions out there because we don't want the bad guys to know how we're coming for them, but clearly we are coming for them. But I will tell you that through any and all means that we have, there's no stone that will remain unturned, there's no lead that won't be followed, and there's no agency that we won't reach out to and work with in trying to find someone. So anyone who wants to go on the lam, know that CMPD's VCAT and everybody we can work with will be working together to apprehend you.
Sarah from WFAE.
Sarah, WFAE.
Good morning. Thanks for taking our questions today. I have a few questions. I'll try to keep them brief. The first for you, Captain McNally, is it fair to say that he's in the process of being brought back to Charlotte right now? And is there anything that you can say more about the motive for this besides Lewis just about his message to bus drivers who have expressed just fear of being on the job.
Okay, great. So to the first question, so Mr. Tavichet is being charged with murder and shooting into an occupied vehicle. Those are the official charges. And yes, he will be extradited back to Charlotte. The particulars of that are basically that a person can either waive extradition and can be brought back more quickly, or otherwise we have to go through official channels between North Carolina officials and Kansas officials to have judicial officials sign off on the release for him to be extradited if he does not consent to that. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you. The question about the message to CATS employees. First, let me identify the employees that our bus operators and mechanics are employed with a private company, RATP Dev. They are represented, as I mentioned, by the Sheet Metal, Aeronautics, and Rail Transportation Employees Union. We have been working, CATS and the city have been working constantly since this incident with the leadership of the SMART union. As recent as yesterday, I sat down with the leadership of the union to discuss the short-term initiatives, some excuse me, some of which I've laid out in terms of increased security presence, increased CMPD presence at our facilities, on board our vehicles and our trains. We are also have outlaid in concert with their collective bargaining unit some long-term initiatives, which will include additional training, de-escalation tactics that will help our operators deal with these kinds of situations that occur as they're operating our vehicles out in the public realm. This will be an ongoing response, an ongoing partnership between CATS, RATP Dev, and our employees union to address their concerns, their legitimate concerns moving forward. Thank you.
Jesse from WCNC.
Jesse with WCNC.
Hello, good morning. I'm just wondering during the apprehension if there were any injuries, whether the suspect was hurt anyone, law enforcement was hurt, and then any indication that the suspect knew Rivera?
As far as I know, there were no injuries involved in the apprehension effort on either the law enforcement side or on Mr. Tavichet's side. So we're thankful for that. As far as the two of them knowing each other, I don't believe there's any indication to that. And also I realize I didn't answer the second half of Sarah's question as to motive beyond a road rage incident, and the answer is no. We still believe that to be the root of this crime.
Last question, we got Caroline Hicks from WBTV.
Caroline, WBTV.
Sorry, thank you for taking my question. Wanted to see if you could tell us anything more about that apprehension. Did he try to evade arrest in any way or anything like that? And as far as the road rage, do you have any more details on what exactly that entailed, why he may have been having that road rage?
Yeah, so as for the apprehension efforts, unfortunately, I don't have any Hollywood movie stories to tell you about the apprehension effort. It all went down peacefully this morning. There was no additional attempts to escape beyond the multi-state evasion of those criminal warrants. And what was the second question? Sorry, Caroline, what was the second question?
Motive.
Oh, just as far as the road rage, any more details you can share on that as to, what exactly that means.
Yeah, at this time, no. Again, we're always trying to protect the integrity of the investigation, and until we have talked to everybody involved and are satisfied, we don't want to lead anyone involved, anyone who may be a witness. We don't want to give them information that they may not already know, so that we can get a fair and unadulterated story from everybody we talk to. It's just not fair to the legal process to put that kind of information out at this time. All right, thank you all for your questions.
On behalf of Captain Joel McNelly of the CMPD Violent Crimes Division, Mr. John Lewis, the CEO at CATS, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. And I think the conclusion of this investigation shows a collaborative effort between not only CATS and CMPD, but all law enforcement jurisdictions across the country to bring violent offenders into custody. Thank you very much, and have a great day.